Amen. I was in my first summer after grad school, and I was deciding to get into some kind of shape other than the shape I was in. I wanted to get into some kind of fitness. I wanted to make fitness a part of my life, and I got a piece of advice that changed everything. Find something that you can do every day. That's what you should do. Running, swimming, that wasn't going to be it. But like running, swimming, acrobats, CrossFit, bodybuilding, whatever you think you're going to do for fitness, whatever it is, if you want to get in shape and kind of get better physically, pick something that you can do every day. And that absolutely changed my life. I had not had fitness as a part of my life, and for me, that phrase, pick something you can do every day, had far more implications than for physical fitness. Because it's the things that you do every day, the small things, that kind of set up a day, a week, month, year, and lifetime. Those small little commitments that if you change your habits, if you gear towards it, by the grace of God, after time, you're molded by them. The small practices. And that's for good and for ill. Those small habits that are slightly not great for your health, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual. In this passage, in the classical translation that talks about the fruits of the Spirit, the first paragraph are warnings. Usually they get listed in the very traditional language. This is Paul listing out sins. And for me, I want to talk about sin, but I want to talk about sin not with finger wagging like, oh, we're all, those awful things that you do that corrupt the world. No, I talk about sin. Why Paul couldn't have gone just a little bit further with his fruits of the Spirit metaphor and talked about of like weeds. Weeds aren't a moral problem. They're just something you got to do. If weeds grow in your garden, it's because you have a garden, not because you're an awful gardener. And if you don't tend to the weeds, you're only going to have weeds. I should know. I don't have a lawn. I have weeds. Terrible at it. These are the warnings that Paul spends his first paragraph telling you. Like, you can kind of see it. Like, my neighbor's looking at my yard. They know how much effort I'm putting into it. There's a couple of practices that if you let go in your life, it's going to become obvious. And it has been. These practices that left unattended in your life will choke the life right out of you. And not in the literal sense, but you won't feel like you're living. When I was coming up, I kept getting told, you have to be the bigger man. And you take out that the genderization of it. You got to be the bigger person, right? And what was it usually? It's a choice in the moment to rise above. Well, there's these small choices that make you a smaller person. It's a spiritual rot that happens under the surface. It can be individual behavior, but frequently it's in cultural air. Whether that's like social posturing, visibility over virtue, image over integrity, achievement without real worth. Paul diagnosed this problem festering within the hearts of people well before the internet perfected it. I mean, come on. You hear that list from Paul about all the awful things? Rage for profit, a mindless sexual experience, all-consuming self-integrity, full-on posturing so everyone sees how good you are? Is it me, or is that Tuesday on Facebook? So you have the weeds growing in the garden. And what does Paul say? Like, Paul doesn't do what some of our Christian brothers have been prone to do with a thumb point or a real focus on how awful it is. Because you can see, this is, when you start closing off your life to other people, when conceit and competition rule your heart, when compassion seems to be a stranger to you, few people want to live like that. Paul's advice is not try harder. Come on, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, shake the dust off, and just go on and go. Paul speaks of this as though you have a conviction in your heart. And that's one of the things about these letters from Paul. Paul is rarely trying to convert you or trying to change you and tell you, hey, you really need to love Jesus. He's assuming you love Jesus. He's assuming that there has been some kind of orientation. And he reminds us that since we are changed, since our hearts are oriented, since we are trying to follow somebody, keep your eyes, even when those weeds start growing, you have a vision in the future of how it should be. Self-control, patience, tenderness, and love, those things aren't going to be trending anytime soon on Twitter. In a world of self-control, advocating self-control, has Paul ever heard of same-day delivery on Amazon Prime? Patience? Do you remember how slow the internet used to be? And now, if it is even if I have to deal with one spinning wheel, I'm not on Netflix. I'm checking Disney Plus. And so this conversion of the heart, he's kind of relying that you have this vision of Jesus in mind. And this is one of these times, most of my communities outside of church and pastor communities, a lot of my friends are either post-Christian or have no experience with Christianity. And one of the easy questions, I would say this is not said with any kind of animosity. This isn't said with any kind of anger or hurt. What is frequently asked of me as a pastor is, what if it's all made up? What if the whole Jesus thing was made up? What if everybody is what if this whole organization that you're leading is all built on a myth? They say that with respect. They're just trying to see they're trying to gauge me and my reaction, right? Some of them will use a little more colorful language, but that's the question. What do you do? And to be honest, to me, while I believe Jesus historically happened, and I believe that all of this has cosmic implications, if I give them this point, what if it didn't happen? I believe that a life with patience, kindness, tenderness, self-control, and love that is slowly built over days, months, and years is a better way to live. Having hope that what I do in this life is remembered, not just for a moment, but for all time that is, when I get things wrong, and sure, I get a lot wrong. I am frequently not patient, tender, or kind. None of you have been in the car with me. But the slow build over my life, I can honestly say that over the years of pastoring and following Jesus, through the small decisions, the things I could do every day, I didn't see change right away, but I know I see change now. I don't think Paul is getting after behavior management. Right? This isn't like a checklist of things we got to make sure we do. I think it's about spiritual embodiment. Not being oriented about what you might have lost and what you're giving up, but knowing that what you're gaining, where you're headed, is worth it. I believe that the future that is slowly built by small acts of kindness is better than quick fixes. So I can move on to the next more optimal option in front of me. Or as John sang earlier, to be conformed and to live by his will. And the more my life is conformed by that will, I have found more fruit, more joy, more peace than if I am left to myself. In the end, if I spend my life trying to compare how much I have, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, with others, whether they are Christian or not, because that's actually underneath all of them, whether it was his warnings or blessings, even in the midst of blessings, Paul writes a warning: don't compare your blessings with other people. Like, be careful. Not everybody's going to have all of the blessings. The life of comparison is a shallow one. It keeps us tethered to surface, measuring ourselves by metrics that have very little to do with meaning. What Paul offers here isn't just a list of virtues, it's a vision for moral formation. A way of becoming the kind of person who slowly and steadily bears fruit that nourishes the people around you. The kind of life doesn't come from striving or self-promotion. It comes from walking quietly, faithfully, and with intention. Which is why we return to old hymns, not as nostalgia, but as orientation. A declaration that we need most is not status or success, but vision. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Because when the Spirit leads, we stop living to impress and start living to bless. And that's how character is formed and how a better world becomes reality. Amen.